So I heard a lot of talk about shafts. You guys really love shafts, very interested in shafts. So in today's video, we are gonna change shafts on the Takomo Ignis D1 Driver. This is a driver that I gave a less than stellar review over. A lot of people mentioned in the comments that it could be because I'm using the Ventus Blue Shaft, and why don't I try a higher launching Ventus Red shaft. There are two shafts available from Takomo when you buy this. So that's what we're gonna do today. We're gonna go head to head, shaft versus shaft, out on course to see which one comes out on top and see if I give this a better review with a different shaft. Let's find out. Now, if you missed the first video of the Takomo D1 Driver, here is your closer look. Very compelling in terms of aesthetics. I love the stealth. You get a little bit of carbon fiber there towards the back. You've got a titanium face, nice and deep here, not super long, but also not super shallow from toe to heel, but definitely very, very deep. On the back side, you've got 3 adjustable weights. I've actually configured mine with a little bit more weight here towards the toe. And with me, especially late in the round, I start to struggle with the ball hooking on me. And so slowing down this toe a little bit keeps that face a little bit more square at impact, again, especially towards the end of the round. You can see this system, you've got a lot of mass here to add MOI down towards the bottom and towards the back, and you've got lighter weight material here. That's going to be really good for forgiveness. We found this to be a very forgiving driver in the first test, and it's also going to increase, hopefully, trajectory to get a little bit more peak height out of these drives. There's a lot of adjustability built into this hosel. I personally have mine set at 10.5 degrees, and I've got a neutral setting in terms of the draw or fade bias, but you can move it up or down 2 degrees, so this one could potentially be 8.5 all the way to 13.5 in terms of loft. Now, shaft is why you came to this video, so here are 2 options, both of them stiff, but the red shaft is gonna be a little bit lighter, in the 50s, I think about 55 grams, and the blue Ventus shaft here from Fujikura is gonna be about 65 grams. The red should be higher spinning, it should also be higher launching, at least according to the specs. The blue should be a little lower spinning and a little lower launching for you higher club head speed. So if you're a lower club head speed or more average like I am, red's gonna be the one. If you are faster, blue should be the one for you, at least on paper. But that's why we come out here to test it out on course to see if that rings true. All right, so now it's time to head out to the course to put these through the paces and see which one comes out on top. All right, so blue shaft in first here. We've got the GC quad that's going to give us all our launch data. We've also got my Garmin G80, which is going to give us actual distances. The GC quad will estimate it, but we'll get actual from the G80. So a lot of tech out here. First shot here, blue shaft. Hit very well, pretty high trajectory. That's actually in a pretty darn good spot. If we look at the GC quad here, you can see I hit that pretty much dead middle. Now my smash, only 143 on that. The club head speed 99.6, the ball speed 142, the estimated carry 256. Now the spin, like we saw in my original review, is very low, 1765. A little too low for me. Now, if you are a high swing speed player, you're hitting at 110, 115, that's a great number. But for me, I need to be more around the 2200 area to get maximum out of my drives. We're gonna hit one more here. That was really well hit. Tight draw heading down the middle of this fairway. Again, pretty well middle, but just slightly heel side. The smash was 142, the club speed was 100 there, ball speed 142 again, the estimated carry 248. We did get the spin up a little bit. Now the reason I need that little extra spin, again, is just to get the maximum ball flight that I can out of a driver. We're gonna switch now to this new shaft. We'll keep all of the settings here the same. I'm at 10.5 degrees. All right, red shaft is in. Boy, it looks nice. Let's see how it performs. All right, on a very similar line to our first ball, drawn on the right side of this fairway, boy, did feel good. You can see pretty center on the club face. Our smash was 142. The club speed was up there at 102. That means the ball speed was also up. We were at 142, now we're at 145. The carry looks like almost the same number though. And spin still, even though this should be a higher spinning shaft, still a little low there at 1750. Those 2 shots, shot 1 with the blue and shot 1 here with the red, those were almost carbon copies of each other, which is wild, I gotta say. All right, shot 2 here with our red. That's another good one, heading into the middle of the fairway. It was more heel side, just like our second one with the red, but maybe slightly more heel side, I gotta say. You can see right there on the GC quad, The smash was down a little bit at 138. The club head speed was still up there a little bit at 101. The ball speed at 139 down a little bit because of that smash. The carry was 233 and the spin up a little bit, but still low at 1874 here on shot 2. Now, one thing I noticed in my original review of the Ignis is I thought, especially on off-center contact, we're losing spin, but we're also losing a significant amount of distance. There is a slight breeze into me right now, but I feel like those swings, and you saw the GC quad numbers, were good enough to probably get us to the 255, 265 mark, somewhere in there. But we're significantly lower than that. This is 232 here. This is going to be the red shaft that I didn't hit quite as well. It was a little bit more heel side. This was the second shot with the blue shaft, which did fly further, and we're at 239. Now, both of these were really well hit, basically middle of the club face, both with identical or nearly identical spin numbers, identical trajectory. I mean, that's as close to being a robot as I can get. Now, one did finish in the rough and one finished in the fairway, but they are very, very close to each other. 251 is the number here. This is going to be the blue shaft. The red shaft is in the fairway, just barely at 252. So 1 yard separates those two shots, and literally that 1 yard probably has to do with the rough. So nearly identical there on test 1. So interestingly enough, the spin number disparity was not nearly as different as I thought it would be. I thought we would be much higher spinning there with that red shaft, and it really wasn't the case. In fact, the second shot with the blue was actually our highest spinning of all 4 shots I took, including both red shots. So interesting stuff. Test 2 here. This wind's going to be a little bit more neutral. All right, it was slightly into us there. We're slightly neutral here. We'll see if that affects anything. We're also going red shaft here first. That's really good. That was at least felt dead middle of the club face to me, and it's heading right down the middle of that fairway. And if we take a look at the numbers here, you can see it was very middle and just slightly off middle, but the smash was high, 142. Our club head speed 102. Ball speed leaving the club face 145. It carried 251. That spin number still really no different than I'm seeing with the blue shaft, 1799. Shot 2 here, red shaft. Oh yeah, a little higher launch there. Again, really nice tight draw. That's more like right side of the fairway. That is dead middle of the club face. Club head speed 101. Smash 142. Interestingly, I really would love to see that more like 147, to be quite honest with you. Ball speed 143, carried 256. Our spin really low there, shockingly low. You would have to assume this is a low spin head, an LS model, but it's really the standard D1 model here from Takomo. They've really built this with higher club head speed players in mind, I think, and that's why our spin numbers are so low. Switching over to the blue shaft. Again, all the settings the same. I gotta say, my swing's in a good place. Very happy with the contact and the shot shape there. That was hit a little higher, but it was also struck just slightly higher up on the club face on a similar line to our second red shaft. These numbers, I don't think I could even tell I'm swinging a different shaft. As you can see, it's center, but it's just slightly higher. Club head speed 101, which matched my second shot with the red shaft. Smash factor 142, which again matched that number. Ball speed 143, carry 255. You can see that launch angle a little higher there, 17.5, and the spin at 1784. They almost seem like identical shafts right now to me. All right, blue shaft, shot 2. That's a good one there. Again, seemed like the peak height, at least by eye, was a little bit higher. Dead middle of the club face. For the first time, the smash factor is up there a little bit higher, but club head speed was down just a touch, 99.8. You can see pretty much dead middle of that club face. Smash 144. We are just a scotch towards the toe, and I've noticed on modern drivers, a little bit towards the toe generally just gets a little bit better smash. We can see that here with the Ignis as well. Ball speed was 144, carried 248. The spin really low again, 1649. You can see that launch angle a little lower than that shot previous. 16.7 degrees there. Let's go ahead and find out. I really don't know which one went further. It'll be interesting. All right, well, once again, fairly similar results with the exception of this ball up here. That one's quite a bit longer. We're at 240 right at this spot. This is going to be a red. That's the Ventus Red. Now, literally walking parallel to this at 239, Ventus Red. And maybe just a touch further back, but also in the rough, at 237. That was my blue, which means our best one is also the blue. This is the one that seemed to launch really nice and high as well, so that affected things, certainly. And once again, we top out at about 255 here. Overall, distance-wise, with my particular swing at that club head speed, again, I would think, especially hitting the fairway here and it's starting to get a little drier in the morning, I would think I'd be around 260. We will, later in this video, actually pull my driver out, my gamer, just to put it up head-to-head here against the Ignis to rule out that it's conditions. But so far, I feel like the Ignis, no matter the shaft right now, is just underperforming for me distance-wise, my particular swing. Again, I think if you're a higher swing speed player, I think you'll get more out of it because that lower spin number is going to be better for you. I need to have a little bit more backspin to get that lift to squeak out the extra yards. We did it on that last shot, but still, it's just not quite where I think it should be. But we'll test. That's what we do on this show. Let's go to the next one. Third and final test here. So far, neck and neck, honestly. Spin numbers look very similar, surprisingly, with both of these shafts. And total numbers, especially coming off the launch monitor itself, looks very, very similar. But maybe there's something here in test 3 that will present itself. Blue shaft up first here. I'm gonna swing as hard as I can. Heading down the left side. I do believe that's still in the left side of the fairway. It was fairly well hit. Maybe not my best strike of the day, but club head speed 98.6, smash 142. You can see it was pretty central, just maybe slightly low on the club face. Ball speed 140, carry 235, and that's our best spin number that I've seen, at least again, for my game, at 2,000 on the button. All right, I'm gonna hit one more here with the blue. On a similar line, but higher trajectory there. I did hit that a little toe side. Club head speed was up to 100. Our smash 143, you can see the toe side strike there. You can see the club path was a little bit more closed at 8 degrees and the angle of attack at 9.7. My ball speed was 143, the carry was 240, the spin, again, real low. That's what I kept seeing the first time I tested this driver. Off-center hits, they really start to drop off, 1474. Switching to the red shaft. Let's see what we get. That is on a similar line to the other two as well. As I get tired, I start to miss it a little bit left, but it was pretty center contact, just slightly toe side. Club head speed 98.9, similar to the first swing with the blue shaft. My club path was about the same there, 7.9 degrees rather than 8. Angle of attack 8.6. Ball speed 143, carried 239. Spin is better there. That's the best number I've seen for me, 2039. Here we go. Red, number 2. That one's really nice. That had nice high piercing trajectory. Very good swing. I would love to dial that swing in every time I'm out here. My club head speed was 99. Smash 142. Pretty central, but just slightly favoring the heel side. Club path 8.2 degrees, angle of attack 8.9. Ball speed 141, carry 248. Spin 1749. Now, I mentioned it before, and it's time to bring out my own driver just to see, apples to apples, is the Takomo, in fact, for a swing speed of mine, right around 100 miles per hour, maybe a little bit less long than other OEM options out on the market. Now, one thing I've got to make 100% clear is that this is a much more expensive driver. This setup, the way I have it, the stock driver, which you're going to have to get a stock shaft with, $650. The Takomo driver, basically half of what those ones go for. That's with the shaft, everything. I've also got an upgraded shaft here, the Furuga, fantastic shaft, really well suited to my game, but this is a $350 upgrade, so I've got a $1,000 driver in my hand. Will I get $1,000 more performance out of my driver? We're gonna find out. All right, here we go. Shot 1. There's my ball. Much higher trajectory, I would say, on a similar path. That's middle of the club face. Now, I got my club head speed up there at 102, pretty much dead middle, maybe slightly toe side. I mean, like really slightly toe side. Smash 143, ball speed leaving the face 146, carried 248, the spin 1825. Lower spin there than I would have guessed, but this is truly a lower spinning shaft from Furuga. Shot 2 here. Real nice high trajectory, straight down the middle with this one here. According to the GC Quad, I hit it slightly heel side with 100-mile-an-hour club head speed, a smash of 141, ball speed 141, carried 243. There's the spin number I'm really looking for, 2125. Again, probably ideal is 2200 for me, but that's absolutely much closer. So we shall see We shall see indeed if there's any distance loss here with the Takomo Ignis or if it was all in my head. All right, here are our 6 balls. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 way up there. Here we go in the rough. That's 236. That is going to be our blue shaft at 236. Over here, basically 1 yard different, but in the fairway, this is going to be our red shaft at 237. Up here at 241, this is going to be blue shaft, again in the rough though. Now these balls, more central in the fairway, also a little bit longer because they did get more rollout. At 247, this is going to be my driver, the Callaway Elite. At 254, this is going to be our other red shaft. And way up here is going to be my Callaway Elite. Now, it did have an extra mile per hour or 2 of clubhead speed on it, but there we are at 264. All right, so there you go. Blue shaft, red shaft, to me, not a big difference at all. I expected it to be considerably different when it came to spin and overall stats, but just did not see that out on course. In terms of distance of drives there, if we take my own driver, a $1,000 driver versus this driver, one of them beat it out pretty considerably, but the second one was much more in line with this Ignis. Overall, I do think the Ignis still not exactly a 5 out of 5 driver for distance for me at my clubhead speed. I'd call this 3.5, 4 out of 5. It's going to be good, ample distance. And if you've got clubhead speed for this driver, you don't need the distance, you need the accuracy. This is a very accurate driver, but it's not one of the longest drivers here, especially when you put it up against OEM clubs, in my opinion, after testing all of the drivers here in the 2025 class. Still, that price is going to be very attractive to folks, a direct-to-consumer option. If you got the budget for it, I do think you're going to get a little bit more performance out of the OEMs here with this one. Hope you enjoyed this test as much as I had making it. It was eye-opening. And if you've got more questions, comments, or criticisms, I'd love to hear down below. Hit subscribe. I'll catch you back next time on another edition of Let's Play Through.